DHS just announced a new travel rule that could affect every single person who is not a U.S. citizen, including visa holders and green card holders. They are building a billion-dollar biometric system that will track your every single trip in and out of the United States. But even though this may not sound like a big deal since the government already pretty much does that, the actual news behind this is so much more deeper. This AI surveillance system is not going to just track where you go. It is also going to analyze your travel patterns, your destinations, and your behavior. So in this video, I am going to break down what this new system really is, how it could be used to target immigrants, and what you can do the next time you travel in order to protect your status and your future here in the United States. So what is this new rule, and what do visa and green card holders need to know about it? Starting December 26th, the Department of Homeland Security is going to begin photographing every non-U.S. citizen that enters and exits its borders. This includes visa and green card holders, everyone who is not a U.S. citizen. And they are not just doing it at airports. DHS is spending $1 billion to create a new facial recognition system that will scan faces and track people whenever and wherever they leave the United States. They plan to use it at every airport, every land, and every seaport of entry. And there will be no exceptions. Even children and elderly travelers will be photographed. U.S. citizens can choose not to participate, in which case officers will need to check their passports by hand instead. But for immigrants who are not U.S. citizens, refusing to comply is not really an option. The announcement in the Federal Register says the failure of an alien at the time of inspection to comply with the photo and biometric requirements may result in a determination that the alien is inadmissible under Section 212A of the Immigration and Nationality Act. So this is a non-negotiable for many people. Now, the big question is, why is DHS doing this? They are saying that the system will make travel more efficient. You'll see cameras at boarding gates that scan your face instead of an agent checking your passport. They call this simplified arrival. But what it really means is that every time you enter or exit the United States, it will now be recorded automatically, not by a person who can use their judgment, but instead by a computer system that is going to use AI to go beyond much more than just recording your exits and entries. This could have a big impact on your immigration status. For example, until now, travel data could have gaps. If you drove into Canada or walked into Mexico, there has not always been a reliable record showing your entry or exit. This is why many people could argue that they did not break their continuous residency, simply because CBP did not have a record. But after this rule goes into effect, that argument all but disappears. Now there will be a biometric photo for every single trip. In addition, it could create problems for anyone who has discrepancies in their immigration record. In the past, name changes, passport renewals, or even small spelling differences sometimes made it hard for DHS to connect all the records together. Now the system can match you instantaneously across old visas, green card filings, or even earlier entries underneath different names. This is, of course, very good for preventing mistaken or false identities, but it also means that innocent mistakes and inconsistencies in your record, such as a date of birth typo or a difference in how your name has been spelled, could automatically be flagged and create a problem for you. And it could even put you into secondary inspection. But this is not really what makes this rule so concerning. The biggest issue is that these photographs are going to be used to be linked by DHS to anything else they can get their hands on. Each image will feed into DHS's central biometrics database. And this database is shared across Customs and Border Patrol, USCIS, and ICE. So if you are a green card holder, your exact travel history will now show up automatically when you file an N-400 for citizenship, renew your green card, or respond to an I-751 RFE. If it shows repeated long absences, DHS will now use this information to question whether or not you have abandoned your residency, and can even be forced to contest whether or not you should remain a permanent resident. Now, you might think, no big deal. Immigration has already checked these things. But up until now, this has been a manual process. which involves human beings and not AI systems. Once it goes online, there's a good chance that this becomes an automated process, which means that the system could automatically flag your time abroad and create an issue for your immigration status. Not to mention the fact that AI is not foolproof. Even though this is a billion-dollar system, there could still be mistakes that are made in flagging cases for inconsistencies. So even if you have been returning on time, your pattern of travel could show up on the officer's screen as a red flag. Remember, the government is spending $1 billion on this, and they are not friendly to immigrants. They are not planning to use this just to fix incomplete travel histories. They're likely going to use it for Trump's immigration agenda, for extreme vetting, to deprive as many people of their rights as possible. And now computers and not people are going to decide what is suspicious. For example, your biometric data will be used to look at things like how often you travel, how long you stay abroad, what countries you visit, and whether you have ever traveled with or possibly visited somebody else who is already on their radar. It can automatically flag your case when the wrong pattern emerges. So let's say that you are a green card holder who travels back home a few times a year to take care of your parents, or maybe you work overseas. Once the system decides that your travel looks unusual, it can automatically flag you for secondary inspection. Even if you've never done anything wrong, suddenly your immigration case may have a problem, even though an experienced officer would not think twice about this. And here's another problem that is not getting enough attention. It is well documented that these facial recognition systems are flawed and biased. DHS itself even admits that these systems can struggle with skin color, lighting, and age, which means that people of color, women, and elderly travelers are more likely to get misidentified. So even if you've done nothing wrong, you might get pulled aside just because the computer is not sure who you are. It is another reminder that this system is not going to affect everyone equally. And that's why understanding how it works and how it might affect you is critical for you to take into consideration before you travel. Real quick, if you are finding this information useful, make sure that you hit the like button and subscribe to my channel. Doing so helps me create more videos and gets this information out to the people who need it most. Okay, so now with this rule starting next month, what are some things that you should do to protect your case? One of the most important things for you to do is to always keep proof that your actual life is based here in the United States. If the system is automatically flagging immigrants, you need to prove that your life is really here. So make sure you always have updated, easy to find information about your ties to the United States, such as evidence of your current US address, including a lease, mortgage, or recent utility bill, evidence of your pay stubs, W-2s, or business records showing that you either work or own a business here, tax returns showing that you file as a resident and not as a non-alien resident, school records for your children, or proof of community involvement, anything that shows your actual life here. Carry a few copies with you when you travel and keep digital versions stored online in case your luggage is lost or stolen. Also keep in mind the system will perfectly track all of your trips and potentially flag your case if you are traveling too much. So be more careful about how long you stay abroad. Try not to stay outside for more than 6 months at a time. If you know you need to be gone longer, apply for a re-entry permit by filing the form I-131 before you leave. It doesn't guarantee re-entry anymore, but at least it should prevent you from losing your residency. And while you are abroad, keep proof of why you had to stay out of the country for as long as you did, such as proof of illness or other emergencies that are keeping you abroad. And also remember that even shorter trips can add up. A good general rule of thumb is to try to spend at least 51% of every year inside the United States. This is not an official requirement, but a strong indication that you have ties to the United States and that this is your primary home. And before you travel, make sure that you check that your name, date of birth, and address match across your passport and all of your other documents. If you have changed your name, consider bringing your marriage certificate or divorce certificate to show the name change. And if you find mistakes in older paperwork, correct them the next time you file something new instead of waiting for the system to flag it. In addition, something else that sounds small but can be a big help is keeping your documents current. An expired driver's license, a missing tax return, or filing taxes as a non-resident can put you in hot water, and it will look like proof that you have stopped living here in the United States. So double check these things before you hop on a plane. And remember that CBP officers are allowed to search your phone. Back up your data on devices and make sure not to post anything political or anything that can be construed as being anti-American. Travel with a clean device if you can. And always use strong passwords, not fingerprint or Face ID, to lock your phone. And finally, if you have had any arrests, long absences, or old immigration issues, talk to an immigration attorney before you leave the US. It is always easier to fix a problem on paper than have to fix it from the outside through CBP. A proper consultation can save you hours of distress or even prevent your green card from getting taken away. My name is Moumita Rahman, and I have been practicing immigration law for the past 15 years. If you would like my help on your immigration case, call our office for a case evaluation at 212-248-7907. Even though we're based in New York, we help clients all over the United States. Now, these are not the only things that the Trump administration is doing in order to crack down upon immigrants. Just last month, USCIS took an even more aggressive step, turning itself from a benefits agency into an enforcement agency. For the first time in history, USCIS now has its own armed officers with the powers to investigate, make arrests, and even use deadly force. It has completely changed what could happen at interviews, site visits, and fraud investigations. In my other video, I break down exactly who these officers are, what powers they have, and what this means for your immigration case. I'll include a link to that here. So click next and I'll see you there.